All right, so here are the three rust diseases of wheat: leaf rust, stripe rust, stem rust, also known as brown rust, yellow rust and black rust, depending on what part of the world you come from. I just want to point out something here. We often read, people will write a paper or something and they'll talk about leaf rust as the pathogen. Leaf rust is not the pathogen. Leaf rust is the disease, right? And the disease is the pathogen and the host. So what you're looking at here, this is the outcome, and we'll get into the genetics of this in a later lecture. This is the outcome of the interaction between a rust pathogen and a plant. And we call that outcome, that disease, leaf rust or brown rust. The actual pathogen itself is Puccinia triticina. So it's not right to refer to Puccinia triticina as leaf rust. It is the causal agent of leaf rust. Equally with stripe rust or yellow rust on wheat, the causal agent is Puccinia striformis, former species tritici. We'll be talking more about the former species a little later today. And in the case of stem rust or black rust, the causal agent is Puccinia graminis, former species tritici. Barley rust diseases: stem rust, leaf rust, stripe rust, Puccinia graminis, Puccinia hordii, Puccinia striformis, former species hordii on barley. Again, I'll come back to the former species in a couple of lectures. I'm not going to go into that detail yet. I think we're running out of time a little bit. Oat rust diseases.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, oh good. We can maybe have some discussion. I hope I'm not going too quickly, all right? You must tell me to slow down if I'm going too quickly. Oat rust. Oat is affected by two rusts: stem rust and crown rust. The causal agent of stem rust is Puccinia graminis, former species aveni. And the causal agent of crown rust is Puccinia coronata, former species aveni. All right? We often think of UG99 as being very bad for wheat breeding, and we often think of the challenges of breeding rust-resistant wheat, keeping up with the changes in the rust pathogens. I can tell you from my experience with oats, this crop is almost impossible. These pathogens are unbelievably variable, and we in Australia now have no stem rust resistance genes anymore in hexaploid oat. They're all gone, and we've almost lost all of our resistance genes to Puccinia coronata, to crown rust in oat. So these are really, really difficult pathogens to breed for resistance to. And the other problem with oat is, compared to wheat, it's a very small crop. So it's hard to get people interested to fund research on oat. Okay, triticale. Who knows what triticale is? Yeah? You heard of triticale? Yeah? So for those of you who have not heard of triticale, it's a man-made hybrid between wheat and rye. And it's a crop that's grown in some parts of the world, does very well on soils that have low pH, that are acidic. And it's pretty high yielding, but the quality is not very good for human consumption. It's quite good for animal feed, and it produces a lot of biomass. The interesting thing with triticale is it's affected by all three wheat rust pathogens. So it gets stripe rust caused by the wheat stripe rust pathogen. It does get stem rust caused by the stem rust pathogen of wheat. We've seen this in both South Africa and in Australia, where we've seen adaptation in wheat stem rust for triticale. And wheat leaf rust will actually also infect, Puccinia triticina will also actually infect triticale, but it's not a big problem. But what we've seen in, particularly in Australia in the last 10 years, stripe rust emerged as a major problem on our triticale crops. And it was the evolution or the acquisition of virulence in the wheat stripe rust pathogen for resistance genes in triticale that caused that. And finally, cereal rye. It is affected by another form of Puccinia graminis. We call that one Puccinia graminis, former species cicalis. And it has its own leaf rust pathogen, Puccinia secalina. All right, so that's my overview of the rusts, the rust pathogens.